Hi everybody, welcome back to Exploring Food with Smitty, and what I'm getting ready to do is start making the naan that goes with the butter chicken um, sugar. So what I'm doing is adding sugar, and then I'm going to add my this is a cup of warm water.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Can you use agave?
You can use any kind of sweetener you want because it's just for the bread. Give it a sweet taste.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put this yeast into the water so that it can start to munch. And when I say munch, I mean fizz up. Let's get this in here. And then that way, you can also tell if your yeast is active or not if you do it this way. And then you don't have to go and make a whole mess by adding yeast that didn't rise up. So let's go ahead and add our yeast, and it's starting to foam up. So we're going to give it a minute to do that. Okay, so while my yeast is rising, this recipe calls for 7 cups of flour, but because I don't need that much naan, I cut the recipe in half. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and measure out my 3 cups and a half of flour. Okay, as you can see, my yeast has started to munch, and that means it's foaming. So what I'm going to do is to add my flour. This is flour, baking soap, baking powder, and sea salt. And to this mixture, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of yogurt. This is just plain yogurt. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm going to get this all stirred together, which if I would have put this on my other mixer, I wouldn't have to do all this, but I didn't. I chose to do it the hard way. So I'm going to mix all this together. And then what I'm going to have to do is put it on a cutting board and knead it. Oh, I'm forgetting something. Okay, so I need to add 1 egg. I'm going to stir this in. Okay, put my egg in there. All my ingredients. Spoons over here. So let's get this all mixed together. Like so. And then what I'm going to do, as I said, I could have did this the easy way, but I chose to do it the hard way, only because I was too lazy to get the big mixer out. So I'm going to turn this out onto the board, like so. Clean this off. And then I'm just going to start to knead it. And as I said, this is not a lot. It makes a whole lot bigger, but we didn't need that much naan. What do you want? Okay, so I'm starting to knead this because you have to knead it until it gets smooth. And as I said, if I would have done it the way I was supposed to do it, I wouldn't have to be out doing all this. But the good thing is now I don't have to rush, since all the noise is not coming until tomorrow. So one thing you want to know is that it's going to be a little sticky. But if it gets too sticky for you to handle it, you always add more flour. Okay, so I'm adding flour to it just because it's a little stickier than I like it. And then you just knead it until it becomes smooth, which kneading is a cool process, especially if you have built up stress. Then you knead stuff and that gets rid of the stress. So what I'm going to do is knead this until it gets smooth, and then I'm going to put it to rise in a bowl in a warm place, and I'm going to let it rise for about an hour. And then what I'll do is come back and we can cook it up. Okay. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, my dough is nice and smooth, and it's ready to sit down and go to proofing. So let me show you how smooth it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a bowl and set it in a warm place to rise. But I'm going to spray my bowl with some cooking spray. And then I'm going to set this into the bowl like so. And cover it and then just let it rise. Okay, so I have my dough out of the thing, and you can see it's risen. So I'm going to take it out, pat it out, and then what I'm going to do is cut it into some sizes that I want to roll. It's probably easier just to make balls, but I'm doing what they said to do. It's nice and fluffy. And then what I'm going to do is cut these in half again, because I'm just not, I think those are too thick. So what I'm going to wind up getting is probably about 8 pieces of naan. So let's give them a cut. Might even be able to give them more cut than that. Okay. So one thing about naan, I've made tortillas, and even though they remind me of naan is more of a rectangle. Let me turn the fire on. And what I'm going to do is cook these in a cast iron skillet. And you know what? Really, if you don't have a rolling pin, you can improvise and probably pat it out. And then it all depends on how thick you want your naan. So I would think that this is about a good size right here. Not too thick, and it's not round. So I'm going to let my skillet heat up so that I can start to cook, and I'll be back. Okay, I wanted to come back to you because I've started cooking the naan. I've already made a couple. So what I'm doing is just I've rolled it out and I'm just putting it in. And you let it cook until it starts to bubble up. So we're going to let that bubble. While that's bubbling, I'm going to roll out another one. Okay, so let's get this turned. And it's kind of brown. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And what I'm doing is brushing it with garlic butter and parsley. And your naan can be as thick as you'd like it. If you don't like it this thick, you can roll it out thinner and you'll get a thinner naan. So go ahead and take this off. Let's put another one in. This is almost like making tortillas to me. Okay, so I'm going to spread this with some garlic butter and parsley. So, this is our naan right here. I've cooked a couple pieces. So that's what you're going to eat with your butter chicken, is naan. Alrighty.